Half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. Yes, Medicare open enrollment period goes through December 7th. And they do a great job of making sure, A, you're fully insured, and B, they do everything they can to save you money because customer service means everything to them. At Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury, go to purdyinsurance.com. Joined by the Hall of Famer, the best in the business, Merrill Reese. Merrill, appreciate you adjusting your schedule to be with us today.
Any time for you, Steve. You know that.
Thank you, my friend. Eagles made some trades to shore the team up. Carter getting Phillips. What do you think that does to help the football team out potentially?
The key word you just used is potentially, because you never know. Every guy, whether it was Carter or Alexander or Phillips, they all have good resumes. They're all talented football players, but you don't really know what you have until you implement them into your offense or defense.
In fact, more importantly, I mean, to me, is that you don't know what you have until you find out how they fit. How do they fit on the field?
Yeah.
How does their skill set fit in the locker room? There's a lot of things where fit means a lot, right, Merrill?
You're right. You're right. And now, see, the good thing is these are relatively young players. Yeah. I remember, not that I live in the past, but I remember years ago, the Eagles brought in an available player from Washington by the name of Art Monk. Yeah. And I went through the roof. I was a young broadcaster at the time. I said, boy, Art Monk. Yeah. But he was only Art Monk in name. That all of his great years were with the Washington, then the Redskins. So now these are younger guys, but each one, there's a reason why each one was dispensable by their team.
Right, and that's exactly right. That's one of the reasons why they were considered to be dispensable by their teams. To this point, when you look at the offense, what have you thought about the ground game, and how have you felt about the offensive line?
Well, Steve, I think you see this in the college game as well. I think that the defenses get better faster. The defenses pull into season form a little bit quicker, particularly when you have different people in the line and the injuries you're coming back from. I thought it took a little while for this offense to evolve, and I think evolve is the right word. And here, a lot of the fans were down on the new offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo. Kevin Patullo was as bright a young coach as you'll ever find, and he was working with an offensive line that included Cam Jurgens, who was coming back from off-season back surgery, Landon Dickerson, who has had both back and knee problems, Lane Johnson, who has been in and out with a neck problem, and it's just not the same. Last year, the Eagles had far and away the best offensive line in the National Football League, which is why they ended up with the Lombardi Trophy, or a big part of it. So this year, it's been a matter of this offensive line getting healthy. I don't know what the case is yet with Cam Jurgens, or whether Brett Toth is going to be the starting center in Green Bay. But it's a matter of the injuries, concerns, and it's a matter of the offense evolving under a new coordinator.
I'll tell a quick story to relate to exactly what Merrill's talking about. It was at a combine day, and so Mike McDaniel, the coach of the Dolphins, was there. So Mike and I strike up a conversation, and it was a year where Tua Tagovailoa started the year, got hurt in the middle, finished up the year. And so in the middle, things didn't go well for Miami. Mike looked at me, he says, Steve, he said, when Tua left the lineup, I took all the good plays out. Just didn't see the purpose. He says, when he came back, I put all the good plays back in.
Sure.
Right,
absolutely.
People make schemes. Players make schemes work.
Well, do you remember? I'm going to throw out a name now that only our older fans are going to remember. Do you remember the name Sid Gilman?
Oh, my goodness. An offensive genius, if there ever was one, with the Chargers.
the inventor of the West Coast offense.
Yep.
So I used to go into his office all the time back in those days when he was the advisor to Dick Vermeil.
Yep.
I was a pain in the neck, but Sid liked me, and he said, sit down, and we watched film together. And he taught me about quarterback progressions. I mean, it was really like getting an MBA in football, sitting there with Phil, with Sid. So one night, we're on the road. We're staying at the Crystal City Marriott. We're playing Washington the next day. And for the umpteenth time I bothered him, I said to him, Sid, can you, we're in the lobby. I said, can you tell me how you use the hash marks in this West Coast passing game? He said, sit down. So we went over and we sat down on the sofa. He said, let me tell you something. Every week, we go into a stadium, and there are 60,000 offensive coordinators in the stands. They don't know a thing about defense, but they're all offensive geniuses. He said, I'm going to tell you a secret. We're playing a team tomorrow, and we know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to give the ball to 44, and he's going to run a counter tray. Yep. That's exactly what they're going to do. Riggins, counter tray. Yep. And he said, you know what? We're still going to have our backsides handed to us because we can't stop it.
And that's exactly right. Because, look,
it's execution. It's all about, well, I mean, it's good to have a trick play here or there, sure. Or you go with a sweep or a Philly every 100 years. But everybody knew that Joe Montana was going to throw a quick slant to Jerry Rice. Yeah. Going back, everybody knew that Paul Hornung was going to run a student body right between Thurston and Kramer. Yep. These are not mysteries. You know what these great teams are successful doing, and that's why they have all of this scouting and all of this film breakdown, and they have all of the tendencies and the computer stuff. But when it gets down to it, who can block the other guy better? Yeah. These games are more decided at the line of scrimmage, the old cliche, in the trenches than anywhere else.
And when Sid Gilliman was with the Chargers, right? He had Ron Mixon at tackle. Then he had Keith Lincoln at running back. He had John Hadle at quarterback. He had Gary Garrison at wide receiver, and he had some guy by the name of Lance Allworth at wide receiver. You'd be amazed how when you're putting your O's out there against their X's, and that O says Lance Allworth, you've got a good chance of success.
Well, absolutely, and that's what the Eagles have when they have A.J. Brown, who they never consider trading, by the way, never. Right. And they have Devontae Smith. And one of my favorite receivers, and of course that's my allegiance and love of Penn State football, Jahan Dotson, who I think should be utilized more because I think he's terrific.
I think Jahan is, to his credit, really come on, and I think that's really helped. How much you talked about the three of them together. AJ gets so much attention. Smith's having a terrific year. Smith's probably the first guy to tell you, Merrill, I'm benefiting because 11's on the other side. Is that fair?
Probably, if he were a little more vociferous.
That's
pretty
true.
Quiet.
Yeah.
He doesn't make a whole lot of statements. He leaves that to AJ. But can I tell you something about AJ that I don't know if your listeners know, but this is from somebody who is in the locker room and knows the players and travels with them. People would say, boy, AJ Brown, he's such a diva, he's such a pain in the neck. Are they going to keep him? All this stuff that he goes with on social media means nothing. I mean, he shouldn't do it, let's face it. Yeah. But he does. He gets frustrated and he says things. In that locker room, he is loved by the players, and he's respectful of the coaches, and he works hard. He is not a distraction. T.O. wrecked the team. Yeah. He's not T.O. No. He's a good guy who lets his frustrations come out too much, but he's a good guy, and they're never going to trade this guy because when you have a receiver of his talent, and I don't think he's better than Devontae Smith. Everyone says he's the best receiver. I think they're 1 and 1A. I mean, 1 week Devontae does it, and 1 week is AJ. They're different. He's the big, strong guy who wins the 50-50 balls, and Devontae is the acrobat with amazing hands.
Yeah, it's interesting when you have one-on-ones with players, which you and I have the opportunity to do. We're fortunate in our jobs. And then you talk to other players. I'll never forget when Micah Parsons was here. I know he doesn't play for Philadelphia, but when Micah Parsons was here at Penn State.
Wish he did.
Yeah, I know. Something else. But when Micah was here, I was on the sideline with a walk-on by the name of Justin Weller, and Weller was out. His foot was on a boot. Parsons comes by after running a kickoff thing in practice. And he goes by. He goes, "Hey, Mr. Jones," right? And Weller looks at me and he says, "You know, when he got here, he says all of us expected he was going to be the big diva and the big pain in the neck. He says, you know what? He's the greatest guy going." See, and that's and again, that goes back to your point about A.J. Brown. Yes, he posts up like Micah does on social media and so forth, but the person that the people you and I know, that's not that guy.
No, not at all. Yeah. Not at all.
Now, Saquon
did we speak? Did I tell you about my greatest experience this year?
No, not yet.
Okay. On a Friday night in the summer, Cindy and I, my wife and I, went to the ring ceremony, and we got this beautiful ring. The wings pop out, and it's got all the diamonds. But something happened 4 days later that meant more to me than the ring ceremony. I was at training camp, and I was sitting in the press tent afterwards, and somebody from the equipment room came out and handed me a box. He said, "This is for you." And I opened up the box, and lo and behold, in the box were a brand new, never worn pair of custom Air Jordan Eagles cleats. And on the white part of the cleats was written, "To M. Reese, you saw it when no one else could. Love always, Jalen Hurts."
How about that? Wow.
That was the ultimate.
I mean, you know what? There's so many elements about Jalen Hurts where he is the ultimate coach's kid. And you just see it, the upbringing, polite, cares about other people. Am I being fair about this guy? I mean,
that incident showed more about Jalen Hurts than it did about me. The fact that he appreciated that I was in his corner, and believe me, you know what the talk shows can do to somebody. And oh my goodness, one talk show host said a couple of years ago, "I'm going to tell you something, and next year he won't be the Eagles starter, and by the following year he'll be out of the league." I mean, he took so much heat from so many people. I saw one columnist wrote that he has marginal NFL arm strength. He's got a great arm. He's got everything you want in the franchise quarterback. Now everybody loves him. Now all the Johnny-come-latelys are there patting him on the back.
Right, but but Merrill, the value of being around a team every day, and I've talked about this in my job all the time. You get to see that stuff just like I do before everybody else does. And what always cracks me up is when you'll say something about somebody and go, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." Excuse me. I see them throw 4,000 passes a year, literally, because of practice, right?
Right, of course.
You see, Jalen Hurts probably throws in a practice season. You probably see it's a longer year, 4,000 to 5,000 passes a year. So you know how strong his arm is, and how accurate it is, and how he throws a deep ball, how he throws a back shoulder. You see all that stuff.
And then I have the benefit of when he came in, Doug Peterson said to me, "Watch him. There's not a pass he can't throw. There's not a thing he can't do." So you get that from a former quarterback and a head coach who won a Super Bowl. You know that you're getting some good heads-ups.
Yeah, no question. Bye weeks are always interesting. Was the timing of this Eagles bye week pretty good in your opinion?
Good for me. I got the COVID shot and couldn't move for 2 days.
Oh, good. Great. I was hoping you played golf.
I did some of that too, but it's you know what's good about this bye week. It comes almost at the midpoint of the season. Number one, where you needed it for guys to heal some of their bumps and bruises, and number two, as spectators, the Eagles sat back last weekend and watched Dallas fall apart, Washington lose their quarterback, and the Giants play again like the Giants.
Yeah. And this is what I tell people all the time. And if I'm wrong about this, please. To me, the NFL is a bottom-based league. Did you win the game? Right? In college football, they're always trying to say, this team played better this week than the other. College football, pro football, you win, that's it. You're done. The Eagles have won every game but two.
You're right. You're right. A golf pro that I went to once for a lesson told me, he said, there are no pictures on the scorecard. Well, there are no pictures in the standings. You win or you lose.
Right. And exactly, that's what the NFL is. So the Eagles are winning. Defensively, going into the season, they had a couple of concerns they wanted to make sure, not major concerns, but like, can we be a little bit better here or there? Are they playing a little bit better defensively now?
Starting to.
Yeah.
Certainly had a great game in Minnesota. And certainly the Giants weren't much of a test last week, especially after Scatterbo went down 2 weeks ago. But they are starting to play well defensively. And again, a lot of that credit goes to the fact that they have a genius as the defensive coordinator.
Oh.
They don't get any better than Vic Fangio. They really don't. He really knows how to use his people. It was Vic Fangio who took a guy who was brought here to be an edge rusher, Zach Vaughn, and made him an inside linebacker. And there isn't a better one right now in the league than Zach Vaughn. I mean, he knows how to use these kids, and he knows how to teach, and he knows Cooper DeJean. I know you saw him when he was at Iowa, but he's a great player. He's not just a good player. He's going to be an all-pro. And yet when he came here, his first summer, he had a hamstring problem that kept him out of a lot of training camp drills. Season started. He was ready to go physically, but Vic didn't start him for a couple of weeks. He said, I'm not putting him out there until he's absolutely prepared, and you don't get prepared when you're watching a training camp. So he knows when to use people, and he really is perfect at putting this defense together. It's a good defense that they were one corner short, and they needed another edge rusher. Now, they brought back Brandon Graham. I don't know how good that is for Brandon Graham to have to play in his 16th year, but he'll add something. If he'll add something on the field, he will, but he'll add even more in the locker room because he's the most uplifting guy. I don't know if I've ever told you. If I go down to the facility and I bump into Brandon Graham in the morning and he comes over and we talk, my whole day just got better.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of effect he has on everybody in the building.
Exactly right. What I like about what the Eagles have done is I think Howie Roseman has a really good feel for it. Now, anybody can sit there on a stopwatch and go, hey, great athlete, the whole thing. So he drafts great athletes, but he also drafts people that know how to play football. In other words, they're football players. Is that a fair assessment?
I think it is. And I think that Howie has learned to sit down and learn from people like Vic Fangio and people like Jeff Stoutland, and gets a lot of input from the coaching staff, from the personnel people, from the analytics people. He puts it all together, and plus he himself is extremely knowledgeable, but he's learned how to use all of the different resources that he has, and then he goes away and makes a great pick like he did. Like, you watch out, this Jihad Campbell's going to be a great player. He's going to be a really, really good player. And Jalen Carter, well, you know what he can do for a defense. And Jordan Davis is really coming into his own. And then to pick people last year with Quinyon Mitchell in the first round and then Cooper DeJean in the second. I mean, that's a great draft.
No question. Remember what Brandon Graham, you said how it makes his day? It makes your day when you see him. Mm-hmm. You have the same effect on our audience with me. Thank you so much. Appreciate you more than you know, my good friend.
Steve, it is always a pleasure and an honor to be on the air with you. You just do such a great job. I love when I have a chance to hear you.
Well, that's very kind of you, my friend. Thank you, Merrill. Appreciate it, and we'll talk later in the year.
Okay,
take care,
bye-bye.
You bet. The great Merrill Reese, the best in the business, without question. I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. You think about the great people that, that have covered Philadelphia over the years. And we have a Ray Didinger, Hall of Famer, Merrill Reese, Hall of Famer. I mean, you talk about a city that with people, and Dick Girardi, of course, what he did in covering college basketball for years down there. You talk about a city that struck gold. With the people that they have. I mean, the Eagles have And the thing about Merrill is, I was listening to the game the other day, a couple of weeks ago, driving into practice. He sounds better than ever. He and Mike Quick sound better than ever. All right. Half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com on News Radio 1070 WKOK.